Welcome back to the Agents Confidential podcast. I'm Eric with
Yana.
And today we'll be talking about leveraging centers of influence. One thing I want to start with by saying is, wouldn't it be great to get 10 or more new referrals to your business each month from trusted sources outside of your company and your current clients? Centers of influence networking is how you're going to do that.
Yeah, if you want to increase your referrals and grow your reputation, this episode is going to be great for you. So on a high level, we're going to go through how to build trusted advisor relationships with key referral partners. And we're going to talk about creating a referral program that works, as well as positioning yourself as the go-to insurance expert in your community.
Awesome. So I want to start off by saying, what is a center of influence? And I like definitions just so we're all talking about the same thing. So Google AI says that a center of influence, or COI, if you see that in our notes section, that's what that means, refers to an individual or entity with significant influence, credibility, and a broad network of connections. So think about that. An individual or an entity with significant influence, credibility, and a broad network of connections.
Mm-hmm.
These centers of influence can be in a variety of industries, communities, and social groups that contain ideal clients for your business. Let's go through some examples of great centers of influence for health insurance agents. We'll kind of rapid fire these. They'll be in the notes as well.
Yeah, some of them can be CPAs, attorneys, financial planners, HR directors. It can even be something like your church that you go to, your yoga studio that you love to go to, anywhere that is going to have a lot of people coming in and out, as well as a place where other people go to find value.
Yeah, and other professionals like realtors, mortgage brokers,
Totally.
bankers. I think you might have said PNC agents, but, and those leaders in the community that know a lot of people and saying, maybe, I don't know, the mayor is your neighbor and saying, hey, this is what I do. I'd really like to get connected with some more people that I can help. All right, so I want to talk about something. Why should we do this? I hear from agents that I have more business than I can handle already. I don't have time. Who would I contact? Does this even work?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Saying there's a million reasons not to do anything.
Yep.
All you really need is one reason to do it.
Mm-hmm. And you never know what it's going to turn into. We have a story that I'm going to plug in here right now with Brian Platty. And he shares a little bit about how you can plant a seed that really can help you grow your business for years and years and years.
So back in the studio, we've got Brian Platty. Brian, I want to get a couple thoughts we're going to be going through this. This episode is about leveraging centers of influence. And I know this has been a very successful way that you've used to grow your business. Give us some thoughts, some stories for our listeners.
Sure. Yeah. When you're first starting out, you don't have a lot of money to go and put towards marketing. So you got to get creative. One of those would be reverse engineering your clients. I've always been a big data person, right? I always like to try to connect dots, whether that's sooner than later or even years back, looking through notes and like, oh my gosh, you're related to this person and yada, yada, yada. But one of the things that always seem to come up during appointments, because I'm genuinely curious, is people's background, how they got to, where they're at and, what they did for a living and things like that. And in the Medicare space, typically we're talking with people that are retired, so this is maybe a little more specific to that. So one of the things that I would often ask is, what did you do for a living? And more often than not, they worked for the same company for their whole life. And as I started to kind of collect that data, like in my CRM, I would write down who their employer was. And then I started thinking, if this person retired from this company and I'm having a conversation with them, what can I extrapolate from this? Well, they probably didn't work for a company that offers retiree healthcare benefits, right? So then, ding, 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 started expanding on that idea. And then I started to ask clients, when they retired, what was the process that they went through in finding a professional, right?
Mm.
Many times it was other employees. We all do that, right? We all kind of refer professionals that we know, like, and trust. And then that got me thinking about, well, who's kind of at the epicenter of that? And a lot of times it's the HR director, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're doing the onboarding, the offboarding, things like that. And one of the things I noticed was most HR directors, they don't want to get involved with this. As far as you're retiring and what do you do with Medicare and things like that. And obviously they're not licensed. They don't have all the information and everything. So I started kind of collecting, hey, who is the HR director when you retired? And I start kind of collecting that data, and I start kind of thinking, okay, how can I use this data from a marketing standpoint? And so the thought was going and marketing to HR directors directly is kind of a crapshoot sometimes because there's no connection, if you will, by just cold calling HR director. They don't know you, you don't know them type thing, and it's a little awkward. But many times I would get the client to provide a introduction, if you will.
Okay.
And then we would meet with the HR director, whoever handles that stuff. And there was more of a connection. Oh, you helped Bob, you helped Sally. And then over time, the HR director really would kind of get to know me, and I'd be able to go in there. Sometimes I just name drop a bunch of people. So, for example, I see that I've got 3 retirees here that are unrelated, and I would go and name drop those names to the HR director. Hey, I noticed that we have some commonalities. Some of your retirees are now clients of mine, and these were some of the things that they were concerned about, and wanted to share with you our services that are free of charge on how we could help your employees out as far as offboarding, onboarding. And that just led to so much business. I mean, one scenario that I could think of is I was pretty early to the T65 seminar game. I was doing them back in early 2010s. And a lot of times I was getting discouraged because here in the state of Michigan, either you work for the state of Michigan or GM or one of the big 3. And so a lot of the people that came, I wouldn't be able to necessarily help them out because they had retiree benefits. And out of nowhere, I started, one of the persons that attended one of my seminars knew an HR director and mentioned my name. And I started getting referrals out of the blue from this company. And that's when I started to connect the dots that, like, oh, what if I actually went out there and expanded this idea and actively worked through some of these centers of influence? And it really blew up my business. In fact, in this scenario, I had somebody that was a state of Michigan retiree. They had a friend that was working for another company. I started getting all these referrals, and I'm thinking, who the hell is referring me? Like, I couldn't figure out who it was. In fact, it was many years later that I found out who that person was and kind of put that together and thanked her. But no, I was able to kind of go back and reverse engineer that to, like, okay, if I ask for who the HR director is, that information is just invaluable to go and start that conversation with. And to this day, I mean, we have companies that, we don't have to prospect to. It's just like a assembly line, if you will. As these people are retiring, they're coming in and seeing us. And I'd like to think that we do a really good job at what we do. And the clients have a good experience. They tell the other retirees, and it just creates this whole pipeline, thank you, of people that are turning 65 and retiring. And then from there, I actually expanded that into, it didn't have to necessarily be retirement, right? So as people are coming and going from a company, sometimes it was like a short-term policy, and that would turn into an ACA policy. And, when I got into doing annuities and other types of insurance, I was just able to kind of expand on that. And to this day, a big portion of our clients actually come from some of those seeds that I planted 10 years ago, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And, at the time, I didn't really put too much thought into it. But in retrospect, looking back, I mean, we're talking hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of clients that have come from that reverse engineering marketing, if you will. So and it doesn't even have to be HR directors, you know.
No, I was just going to ask Brian. So HR directors are great. What are some of your other top centers of influence you would suggest agents talk to?
Yeah, the other ones would be PNC agents. That was probably my second largest referral base, and it started off where there was 2 or 3 PNC agents in the little town that I grew up in, and it took a while to get that first referral to come in. You know, you go plant a lot of seeds, and I would make such a big deal out of the first referral that they send. In fact, just any referral. I would go buy the whole staff pizza, thank them profusely, start to educate the employees on what a good referral is for us. That then led,
give them like criteria a little bit.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Yeah,
paint a picture of what you're looking for.
Sure. And then that actually led to probably what became one of the largest referral sources, and that was financial planners.
Mm.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I'm one that can't sit still and was always expanding my areas of expertise in the business. And, you know, I got my securities license and I was doing financial planning myself. And the thing that I thought was, well, why would a financial planner want to refer to another financial planner? Because there's that temptation that, you know, I'm going to steal their client or something like that. But, you know, that trust is earned over time. And I would let them know that we would mark them in our CRM. We wouldn't market to them and things like that. And the thing that was interesting is I was able to kind of speak that financial planning language to the financial planners, and they got really comfortable. And yeah, over time, I had a lot of financial planners referring business to me. And don't get me wrong, there was a lot of scenarios and times where these clients would be referred over to me and they'd be like, yeah, I really don't like my financial planner. Do you do this? And I'd be like, don't bite the hand that feeds.
Gotta be careful there.
So you got to be really
Yeah.
careful there. But yeah, there's a million and one different ways that you could do that. I mean, even attorneys can be good, especially divorce attorneys when it comes to like ACA, life insurance, things like that.
Yeah.
Many times the settlement requires that, you know, one spouse has to carry the insurance. Accountants, CPAs were really good, especially in the ACA market. And this is another maybe little golden nugget for those working in the ACA market. You know, what's one of the things that we have to gather when assessing somebody's subsidy? It's their taxable income. And so again, I would collect who's your attorney, who's your accountant. I would actively reach out to that person, introduce myself, and I think what would happen was that professional would be like, okay, this person actually really cares about their clients, and those referrals would start to come in, and you could build a business completely off of referral sources. We used to call it the milk route. What I would do is once a month, I would just go out, you know, let's say there's 50 referral partners. I would just stop in, you know, take them muffins, whatever, say hi. The big thing about these centers of influence is you got to stay on top of them, stay relevant in their
Stay top of mind.
top of
for
mind.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So nurturing those relationships is very important because they can fizzle out too. You know, going back to what I was talking about with the HR directors come and go. Actually, one of our biggest employers, all of a sudden we noticed, we kind of looked back over the year previous. We're like, man, these referrals have really kind of dwindled. And after further investigation, this HR director actually retired, and we didn't know that. So we had to go kind of establish that relationship with the new person. Also, you could take that another step further in expanding those by, let's take HR directors for an example. We tend to hang out with other people that are in our own professions. So getting introductions and taking that one center of influence to a bigger center of influence. And maybe you have an opportunity to go and give a talk at a convention or something like that to those centers of influence, and you could really blow that up.
I was going to say, when you find a good center of influence that you connect with and finding out what associations they're a part of,
Yes.
and find out where those types of people hang out together that you could market more in a mass. Wow, Brian, that's very insightful.
Yeah,
Really
thank you.
appreciate you sharing those things. Oh, I had a question for you specifically. These referrals that you get from these centers of influence, is that other than your time of going out, meeting them, nurturing those relationships, are you paying them for these referrals? Are you trying to swap referrals? We've talked about a couple, just
It's a
between
great
the two of
question.
us. Like, where should people start, and or where could you get
So
to?
my experience has been that most professionals don't want to be compensated. Of course, there are some that want that type of reciprocation, if you will. But I always let it be known to these referral partners, especially like PNC agents. There might have been 10, 12, 15 of them, and I can't reciprocate one for one. And I let them know that this is kind of my specialty, is working with other PNC agents and building that expectation that I will do my best to reciprocate. But really what I found was they just wanted somebody that was capable and competent to refer their people to. They want to help their people. And so I wouldn't mention that necessarily. If they bring it up, that's something that you could look at. There's some limitations, obviously, in on the Medicare ACA space with certifications and things like that, where maybe that's not even possible. But yeah, I think just doing a good job is the best way to show your appreciation.
Yeah, and I think it's, kind of meeting that person, feeling them out, because they may tell you, oh my gosh, I just need somebody to help me with this. Everybody expects me to do it. And then I send them elsewhere. And we kind of call that opening Pandora's box, right? If you're handling something for your client, whether it's their investments, their auto, whatever, and they want help with their health insurance, you send them away, they may find another firm that does both.
Yeah.
Right. And now you've lost that client. So I've even, kind of sold it or explained it to that referral source of, I'm going to insulate you. I'm going to edify you to the client and
Yes.
saying, yeah, I love, I'm so glad Brian sent you over to me. I work closely with him. He does amazing work for his clients. I have my money with him, whatever the situation is, where you're kind of solidifying that relationship that they have.
So important. In fact, with the financial planners, I found that to be the case, where they would come in and maybe the topic of long-term care or life insurance came up. And again, you don't bite on that temptation. You then refer them back and say, you know what, your financial advisor, you probably don't realize this, but that's also an area that he specializes in. Or maybe they mention something about their investments or something that they're concerned about, or they open up to you about something that maybe they aren't comfortable sharing directly, where you can have that line of communication with that professional. The other thing that you could do is, as that relationship with those referral partners and centers of influence tend to blossom, instead of just a static type of relationship where when that referral opportunity comes to be and they refer them to you, you can make it a little more dynamic. And hey, maybe we do some marketing together. Maybe we go do a seminar with an estate planning attorney. He does his stuff on the estate planning side. You come in with the insurance products that kind of match that. And of course, you can get as creative as you want. I know of agents that would do podcast, for example. They'll, just like we're doing right now, where, maybe that financial planner has a podcast that they do and you're a guest speaker, or maybe you're looking at, hey, we've both got a sizable list of clients, maybe we want to do some sort of joint marketing venture together. Or if I want to get real aggressive, I could say, hey, I'm willing to pay for a mailer to kind of have your clients know about me and the things that I provide and everything. If I'm willing to pay for that, would you have a problem with that? And and most of them are. I mean, as long as it's kept educational, it's done tastefully and everything, you could kind of pour gasoline on that fire.
Amazing ideas. So I think the best centers of influence to start with are the ones that your clients are already using. Unless you're brand new, you have some clients at least, or if you've been doing this for years, you have some clients that you work really well with, have great rapport with. Ask them, who is your accountant? Who is your financial advisor? I want to connect with them and network with them to see if I can help more of their clients do the same thing I'm doing for you. Brian mentioned in a story as well of going to those centers of influence and saying, hey, Bob and Sally referred me to you because they work with me and they work with you. I wanted to introduce myself.
Yeah.
Now I want to talk about the next step. So let's say you have less clients or you don't want to bug your clients. So I call this Eric's proven in-person method.
I love it.
And I'm going to walk you through what I've done to open doors and start relationships with people. Even some of our listeners may realize, hey, he did this to me. So first you want to search on the internet, Google, what have you, for the types of businesses and professionals that you want to contact, right? Don't get caught up in knowing everything about them, but find out who they are, especially in your area, right? Or in an area you want to grow in, whether it's the neighboring town or a different state or what have you. And then you can map them out so you can be time efficient. Prep your leave behinds before you ever go out and meet somebody. So you need to have a flyer or a leave behind or an info card and your business card. And you may have other things as well. I've found people like food.
Yeah.
Most
Who
people
doesn't like food?
Most people do. So bring some snacks. When you go in there and introduce yourself, of course, everybody has probably seen or heard of me doing my EMT for AEP bit. I can't tell you what a warm response I get from people that have absolutely no idea who I am because I say I brought snacks and cocktails.
Yeah.
Their guard goes down. They're like, oh my gosh, I don't want this person to leave.
Yeah.
Tell me more, right? You've got my attention. To be different, right? Practice your pitch. So know what you're going to say, who to ask to speak with, and why they would find value in what you're doing, how you do it, and how it's worked in the past. So you pull into your first stop. Before you go in, do a quick review of their website so you can get a name or two to ask for when you walk in. It gives you much more credibility than saying, I want to talk to the office manager. I want to talk to the person in charge. No, I'm here looking to talk to Brian or Stephanie at Agent Equity Group.
Yep.
Right? So it all automatically has some familiarity. So you go in, pitch yourself as a valuable resource to them and their clients. You can do your leave behind, and then you're going to follow up as necessary, make a note, and then go to the next stop and rinse and repeat. And do this, at least for my brain, it works in, if I'm going to call on attorneys, I'm calling on attorneys almost all day or back to back to back. Then I'm going to switch gears to dentists. I'm going to switch gears to financial advisors. Maybe I'm switching my attire, right? To more mirror who you're talking with. If I wanted to talk to an oil change place about how I could be a benefit to people in the community and I'm just trying to get the word out, maybe I'm not wearing a suit and a tie.
Right.
They're going to be nervous the minute I step on property. So you can balance that out a little bit. Got some additional things on where to start. Starting with professionals that you already know. Your friend that's a financial advisor, that person that you sit near at church and saying, hey, just want to stop in and introduce myself professionally. Would you mind if I stopped by your office today? I have an idea and I want to talk to you about it. I want to get your opinion. Everybody has sometimes multiple opinions and they love to share them.
Absolutely.
Then you can move on to professionals that maybe you don't know. And I love this line. So walk into an office and they ask for the person or persons and they say, oh, do you have an appointment with them? And I say, no, I don't have an appointment with them. I'm guessing they don't make appointments with people they don't know. I'm here to change that. May I introduce myself?
That's a pretty good line.
Give them a parameter. It's a 2-minute. I just want to get this idea to them and I'll be on my way. Or pitch it to that person, give them the leave behind if they're not available at all. And then what I've found, Yana, is it actually gives you some social credibility.
Totally.
When you follow up and saying, hey, I stopped in your office today, yesterday, last week, you can compliment them on their office. You can compliment them on their staff. Oh, I talked with Betty up front. She was fantastic. I left some information for you. Have you had a time to review it? I'd love to have a conversation about how we can maybe help each other. Something like that. Because it's not, think about how many times we're marketed to, whether it's somebody stopping in or you get an email, you get a postcard, you hear something on the radio. I try to take a personal approach where we've talked through other podcasts. People work with the people they know, like, and trust.
Yep.
And if they don't know you, it's really hard to trust you. If they don't trust you, they're never going to work with you. It's also really hard to know if they like you if you've never met them.
And especially in such a digital world, the fact that you're making an effort to go, take time out of your day to go and be in their office to say, I really just wanted to meet you for a second, just wanted to introduce myself. Here's some cookies for your office, whatever that is. It makes a big difference now because they're probably getting inundated with things all day long digitally. But what a relief to have a face, a person
I have been
to
told
come and shake your hand.
I have been told I'm the only one that's ever brought cocktails to their office. And when I call back, sometimes months later, I'm like, yeah, I stopped in during AEP. They're like, you're the guy with the alcohol. And regardless, maybe that's not your thing. You don't want to be remembered for that. But regardless, they're remembering me just because it was different. It's nothing me personally. I have one other, again, ways to start leveraging centers of influence. And we've talked in past podcasts about, whether you work from home, you have a call center or a little cubicle, or you have an office, wherever you're working, meet your neighbors. Every business owner near your office or where you work should know what you do and who you help. And again, by proximity, would that person refer somebody to somebody 100 miles away, or would it be easier to have it on the same block or around the corner?
So we had some branded cookies made, and our agents brought them to their referral partners that they've established throughout the years. I don't know what it was, but we saw an increase in the amount of people who reached out because we stayed top of mind. We brought them something sweet and just a reminder, hey, we're here. If you need help, here's a stack of my cards. And just being top of mind with those centers of influence, I really do think made an impact, this AEP, and also thinking about the timing of meeting with these people. So, accountants, this is their busy season right now. We're in January. It's tax season now until April 15. Maybe bring their office lunch or something during this time because it's so busy, and taking care of them a little bit too.
Yana, it sounds a lot like you get what you give.
Absolutely.
Where, the golden rule, right? What is that one again?
Treat others the way you want to be treated.
Yeah, that's the one.
Is that the one?
That's the one. So, or random acts of kindness. You say, like, I know people are busy and they, or the expense or the hassle of going to these places and giving them something. What about just a random text to that referral partner and saying something as simple as, I was thinking of you and just thought I would say, how's it going? Or I saw something that reminded me of you that you have in common. If, the new, I got to bring up golf,
This is the first time today.
drink. Did you see, if you know somebody that has a or you both like the same thing, did you see the latest game, or did you see the new TGL broadcast where they're reinventing the game of golf basically in a simulator with professionals? I saw this and thought of you, or wanted your take on X. Did you see the latest news flash, or I saw this video? So you text it to them, and whether it's entertaining, educational, funny, whatever it is, just you're telling them that that you were thinking about them.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that during AEP, a lot of the carrier reps come in here and they bring us lunch or breakfast or coffee or something like that.
We love that.
We do love that. You can do the same thing with your referral partners. So, in these centers of influence, they're not going to forget that.
That's a good point, Yana. I've found that people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
I love that. That's a really good one.
And similar to why I started doing the EMT for AEP was, I know the agents are stressed during AEP. I know we're in blackout period. We're not going to be changing contracts right now, and I know they're crazy busy, stressed out. So what do? I bring them snacks and treats and cocktails that they don't have to drink them right then.
Yeah.
And if I haven't visited you, let me know. If I'm welcome, I will love to come and say hello. But for our listeners, Chris Voss, VOSS, is a great podcast to listen to as well. And he's a ex-FBI negotiator. And he talks, one of his main points is really take the time to put yourself in basically your prospect's shoes, or in his case, a terrorist shoes of what are they going through? What are they concerned about? And can I figure out a way to help them get there?
Yeah.
And they may not hear you right away. You know, when people are mad or stressed, then it's just noise. I can't talk to you right now. Be politely persistent and show up again and show up again and let them know that you are somebody they can rely on.
Yeah. I love that.
Nice. All right. So we've talked about a lot of different ideas today around these center of influences. So just to recap, a couple things you can do. I always call it business walking, is going out and meeting the neighbors, inviting the ones you hit it off with to a lunch and learn for local professionals, maybe at your new office, saying, hey, I just moved in, just wanted to meet everybody. The people you don't connect with, you don't have to invite them if you don't want to. Then you're getting a nice group of like-minded people in that group. So just introducing yourself, having your pitch, leaving some information, inviting them to a follow-up event would be great. Sending some personalized follow-ups after meetings. I don't know about you folks, but I don't get a lot of mail other than bills or statements. When I get a actual like non-white envelope, I'm like, holy cow, somebody sent me something. And I open it and I read it. Like, it stands out, right? It's like getting a note back in 5th grade. We used to pass notes all the time. They probably text now. But you get a note, you're like, holy cow, somebody wrote me a note.
Yeah.
It's going to get opened and they're going to get the message. Tell your clients about these other businesses that you've met in your area. And, you know, when you tell them, say, oh, I went over to this lunch spot, it's fantastic. Tell them I sent you. I got my back adjusted at this chiropractor. I went to this service place, what have you. When you go there, ask for X person, tell them I sent you. They'll take good care of you, right? There's not a discount or whatever. And all of a sudden, a bunch of your clients are using these other businesses and they keep talking about you when you're not around positively. Oh, yeah. My insurance agent told me to come check this place out. I mean, like, man, that agent's referring us a ton of business. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Right? As Brian said, make a big deal out of it when these centers of influence refer you, giving them a token, buying them lunch. Just a heartfelt thank you in a voicemail is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
You could pre-record that and send it, like and following these centers of influence social media pages.
Absolutely.
Writing a positive review. It all adds up to getting more referrals from them. Just want to go through one more time. Again, the most ideal centers of influence for health insurance agents, and this is in no particular order: accountants, attorneys, financial advisors, realtors, mortgage brokers, P&C insurance agents, or like property and casualty, bankers, and former employers' HR directors from your clients' businesses.
Yeah. To just complete this whole episode, we rapid fired a lot of things, a lot of ideas, and we really hope that you take these into practice, because these relationships are going to drive referrals, and these referrals drive your success and theirs. So by becoming a trusted advisor, consistently adding value to their life, and building genuine partnerships, you can create your own referral engine that not only grows your business, but also cements your own reputation as the go-to insurance expert in your community. So success is not built alone. I have a lot of favorite quotes, but one of them is, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
Oh, I love that one.
You know, it's important to build these relationships with other business owners, and to also build your own community that surrounds you to help support your success and for you to help support theirs.
And I feel like we're going together on this podcast. Listeners, if you like what you're hearing, you want to hear more, please subscribe, hit that
Yeah,
like button,
absolutely.
share what we're doing here with others. It only helps us grow this podcast.
Challenge for you is if you have someone that you want to be a referral partner, send them this episode.
I love
It's a
that.
good little in, and yeah, we'd love for you to share with anyone that you want to be a referral partner with.
That might be the best new one of the day. I love that.